Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. Bout get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we about to get it poppin', and we ain't stopping. Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I am Gregory Alprin.
Full name. I love it. And our guest today, he's bald. He has a beard. He's a personal trainer. He's a comic. He's handsome. No, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Sergio Chicon. What's up, Poppy?
Yeah. What's up? What's up, Nick? What's up, Greg? Thanks for having me, fellas.
Dude, absolutely. What's going on in New York?
Nothing much, man. Feeling good. You know, staying healthy and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You guys are. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are in Connecticut right now.
Yeah, like Southern Connecticut. We're like, what are we, an hour from the city? Well, nah, yeah, hour, about probably.
So you guys have a lot more liberties than we do up there. Restaurants are open, you know, shit is flowing. I believe I performed recently at Bridgeport. You guys came out. So
yeah,
you guys are doing it, right? You guys are open. So things out here are nowhere near that, you know? So things are still closed. As far as the comedy scene is concerned, it's restricted to rooftops and parks. So you're either performing next to a Trinity or a hedge. That's it.
and now you need a really good.
When I went to Bridgeport and I heard that the clubs were open and flowing, it was a very good feeling. So shout out to Connecticut for keeping shit open and the arts alive in that respect.
Yeah, you know, really, there's not a lot of places that have, you know, at least like within this drivable region, like arts open, right? Obviously, New York isn't, New Jersey isn't. I know in New Jersey you can do some small things. You know, they're doing some stuff down there. But as far as like clubs where you could get, you know, 100 people in, I don't know anywhere else really. You know, that's inside. Obviously, outside during the summer and the spring and the fall, there was tons. But now it's cold, so you need like a really good winter jacket if you're going to do a rooftop, you know, in the city somewhere.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you know, Connecticut, we managed to hold it down, and you know, those were great shows. You know, I'm sure that, you know, you did a weekend with Chris, right?
Yeah, Chris DiStefano. And the thing is, what happens is for the performer and the audience, I think there's this heightened gratitude, right? Everyone's super, like, man, just happy about being able to do what they were doing just over a year ago with no restrictions. That's nice, man, because all that shit that we may have taken for granted has been taken from us. But man, so when I perform under these conditions, I'm like super excited. The level of enthusiasm is through the roof. And I find that the audience has the same energy too. So it's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah. How did those shows go?
They went very well. I think the audience, you know, a couple of these shows that I did during, you know, the pause, I had to tell the audience, I was like, listen, it's been a long time. You know, bear with me because you kind of lose your rhythm.
Yeah.
Nick, you know the deal, right? It's just like,
Bro.
You know, and Greg, as a fighter, you know, like if you haven't been in the ring in a long time, like you just miss a beat, you know, something that's a little off. And you're like, oh, I need like 5 minutes to kind of get the rhythm of this shit. So I would tell the audience off the bat, guys, bear with me. It's been 6 months. It's allowing the audience to know what the deal was, which they know, but let them know that I need that.
Right.
that space, like at least 5 minutes to talk to them.
When Nick first started, when we all, not me, but I don't stand up, but when Nick, we came out of the thing and there was shows to do, it was very funny. Nick would do like obviously go back to the well on some, the greatest hits and the jokes that he was so crisp and, perfect on. And he would come off and he would be like, I feel like that's the first time I told that joke.
Yeah, I thought I had Alzheimer's or some shit. I was like, what the fuck? The first 2 times back, I was like, this is horrible. But I always compare it. I try to tell like people I work with in the fitness industry and shit is like, imagine like not working out for 5 months. Right. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to do what I did 5 months ago. I'm going to squat the same amount, but I haven't done it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Or you're going to do it and you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as good.
It's what happened to me with boxing. I hyperextended my elbow sparring. And I was out of the ring for a year and a half, like literally out of the ring sparring another person. I would, hit the bag lightly for, 6 months, starting 6 months after I hurt my elbow. But then about 6 months ago, I got back into the ring to like spar. And it was literally like I never put gloves on before. Like nothing, everything was wrong. Everything.
Do you know what caused the hyperextension? Did you like miss?
Yeah, missed. Totally missed. I was
it's like you're not turning the punch over, so you do like a karate chop punch.
No, I was sparring with my trainer, and we aggressively spar. He's an ex-Olympic. The guy was at the time was ex-Olympic boxer, and we sparred full on, right? And I rolled and came up with a punch and just missed everything, and I swung hard, and just it went to spaghetti, like just done. At that moment I knew I was done, and it took a long time to come back before I could even touch one without it really hurting.
Did he know immediately that you were hurt?
Oh yeah. Like
did he do like a little foot shuffle and a shoulder shuffle? Like,
it's funny because this guy, I won't mention his name. If he listens, he'll know I'm talking about him. But he's an Olympic boxer, right? So, and he was a boxer since he was 13 years old. Now he's 40. So, a few times when we were sparring, he went down, right? But every time, like the 2 times he would hit the canvas, like one knee, just go down, he would pop back up and be like, I didn't go down. Like I didn't touch the canvas. And I'm like, you're full of shit. I just totally sat you down, you fucker.
That shit is impressive, man. Putting down an Olympic gold medalist, because those guys.
No, I didn't say gold. I didn't say gold medalist. I just said it was an Olympic.
That up. I like to exaggerate the story. That's all I'm going. This guy Greg dropped fucking Olympic gold medalist 3 times over.
In a row. He got him 3 times. You don't have to tell anyone I outweigh him by 100 pounds, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I knew that. I was going to say, how much do you outweigh him too?
Yeah, by not 100 pounds, but a solid 50. So maybe.
Man, the skill level of an Olympian, man, it's like.
Yeah,
so
it was I trained with this other guy in LA, Ricky Quiles. I don't know if you know him. He's a 4-time champ. He's got 4 belts in different weight classes, and he would absolutely destroy me for fun, just for fun. Like he would totally Nick would love to watch this because it would and that was at my height of like really training a lot, 4 or 5 days a week, and we would kind of go at it, and it was like. It was literally like watching a professional boxer fight a child. Right. And every time I would leave soaking wet, head to toe, sweated through everything, as demoralized as a human could possibly be. When you think like, oh, I have some pretty good skills, I can keep up. No.
He probably just beat you with speed, right?
Just total speed. Oh yeah. Just the sheer speed was just insane.
Yeah, when someone's just that much faster than you and you can't catch up, I mean, what beats speed is timing. And if you can't get the timing of that, you're in for a long fucking couple of rounds.
Oh yeah, and he made me pay. Like he would rough me up and then make me do like push-ups and really like take it to me hard. And I'm like, come on, man, I'm here on vacation.
Yeah, I'm also paying you.
Exactly.
Paying for torture. We're trainers, dude. That's what we do.
That's how I met Nick. Nick was my trainer in the gym.
not boxing.
Yeah.
Just fitness.
How's business going now, Nick? Like, do you find a lot of people during the pause are like, I need to work out, and they're seeking your counsel?
It was hit or miss.
Dropping off because they're scared of the gym.
Yeah, it's there's both. Some trainers. I work at Equinox here in Southern Connecticut, and it's been hit or miss. Some trainers, really just one in particular, my roommate who I live with, came back with like a full book. None of his clients really gave a shit. You know what I mean? He's like, I didn't do anything.
What do you mean by full book?
Like all his clients came immediately back when we opened.
Oh, okay, got it. So he's busy. Got it.
Yeah, he's busy. He just can't. I mean, he even said, he goes, I didn't do anything. Like all his clients were just like, yeah, we don't give a fuck. Let's get back. You know what I mean? I lost quite a few, but doing more of the virtual thing. Now that the vaccines are coming out, I have some members reaching out to me because most of my demographic, as I think maybe yours is, I'm not sure, but like, middle-aged, a little older, right? 40, 50, 60. They're a little bit worried about.
Actually, I have a much younger demographic. The people I train a lot of women who are in like their 20s to 30s.
I had a feeling, dude. I saw I just had a feeling, just like looking at you and then watching the video you did with Chris. I was like, I feel he has like young, hot chicks in New York City that he just this fucking dude's killing it.
Yeah, right. So that's what I got. But a lot of them are from New York. A lot of people who live in New York now coming from all over the country. So a lot of them, a good percentage went back home during this time. But they're back now, resurfacing. So it's been, we all had to make the adjustments. I was doing the virtuals as well. And I still keep those in the pocket just in case, But I was dreading that shit in the beginning.
Yeah, you have to, man. That was the weirdest transition. Was like, now you're on a computer, and I was like, I had no shoes on training these people in my house, wearing slippers and shit. And I'm like,
sitting with your legs folded, right?
Yeah, drinking coffee. I'm like, all right, 10 more. What the fuck? 6 a.m. I'm in my house. Like,
are you mainly a fight sport trainer or like weights and stuff too?
Well, I do weights and stuff too, but mostly I would say it's boxing, fitness. Right. There has been a couple of guys who I trained to compete, but mostly like boxing, fitness. But if they want, we'll do weights. But a lot of people, working strictly boxing.
Right.
And a lot of what I'm doing now is outdoors, and it's interesting because I never thought I would be able to go on this long. I mean, it's the middle of the winter. Right. And I'm still under an oak tree holding pads for people. And guys, I'm not talking about nice parks. I'm not talking about Central Park. I'm in like some dirtbag parks where out and where 2 feet away you'll see a junkie, and then 5 feet that way you'll see someone doing Tai Chi. Like the world.
What park did you train Chris at?
That was Tompkins Square Park.
Okay.
There was an uprising there like years ago. I remember.
Yeah.
Remember that, Greg?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Back in the days, you probably heard of it, Nick. Back in the days when Mayor Dinkins was in office, early 90s, they had tents flooding the park, and it was run by homeless people. And and then there was a riot. They didn't want to leave, and bottles were thrown. It was a whole thing, man.
Yeah, Tompkins Square Park was always a rough park until like the mid 90s. And then like everything else in friggin' Manhattan and Harlem and Queens and Brooklyn and Staten Island.
But it still has that little sketchiness to it.
Yeah.
Like every time I walk into the bathroom at Tompkins Square Park, there's like full-blown heroin addicts in there, using their shoelaces to shoot up. It's real grimy. It's really a dirt bag.
Now, Sergio, I want to know. So, obviously, we're going to talk about how you got into comedy because I'm curious about that. But real quick, I want to know like how you got into boxing and fitness. Like, how did that start for you?
Yeah, I've always enjoyed training. Boxing was a sport that I gravitated to because I always like individual sports, right? I wasn't like big on team sports, although I did play baseball as a kid. But boxing was one of those things that I enjoyed. And since I can remember, man, I enjoyed watching boxing back in the days when Sugar Ray Leonard was fighting, Duran, and Hagler, like when the welterweight division was loaded, when all these guys used to fight each other 3 or 4 times. And I just always enjoyed the sport of boxing. Then I, started boxing at the local boys club. and I was in and out of it. But boxing was the one sport that I kept participating in throughout my life. And it always was that place where I can go that kept me grounded, right?
Yeah.
If I was going through something in my life, I could always go to the gym and find that solace and peace, ironically, through that violence, you know? And I wasn't even competing. I would just enjoy training. I enjoy the fact that you can do so many different things to get better. You can hit the bag. You can hit the heavy bag. You can hit the double M bag, a speed bag, shadow box, jump rope. You could do calisthenics. There were so many different things. You could spar. You can hit the mitts. I love the variety. I love the fact that you were like always in a kind of a grimy basement gym. I loved all of that.
Yeah, that's my boxing gym that I box in. Is actually in Bridgeport now, and you go in there, you know it's a boxing gym.
Yes, it smells like it.
Yeah, it's not a pretty gym. It's in like an old, beat up, shitty building, and but you go inside and it's a boxing gym, right? When I first started boxing in Manhattan, I trained at Trinity down in lower end of Manhattan, which was just like that. It's like an old school boxing gym. It's like no one gives a shit. They're not trying to be pretty. It's like, come in, there are the bags, there's your ring, let's go at it. And I think that's what makes boxing such a cool training sport, because especially like, where we live, it's, it is what it is. It's a nicer community, right? Outside the city. But then Bridgeport is like an inner city, right? And I like going into that gym and training with people that I don't necessarily hang out with, and mentoring those kids, right? Because I'm obviously older and have more life experience, and it's cool to kind of just mix it up with people that you normally wouldn't mix it up with. And I think like a boxing gym is kind of a place you find that in.
Right. Absolutely. All different walks of life.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's just like, it's a place that you could be humbled quickly.
Totally.
I mean, both emotionally and physically.
So you want to know why I quit? I stopped going to Trinity. Nick knows this story. I was going to Trinity, and it was like a group of people that would go on the same night and box around, guys and girls. So one night, one of the guys that was one of the group trainers. It wasn't group training. It was just guys that were always there training people.
Right.
And he was like, "All right, you're going to spar with her." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're going to spar with her." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't want to, like, that doesn't, no matter what happens, that doesn't go well for me. Like, it's just not, and it was very early on when I was boxing. And I was like,
it wasn't like if she was really good and you're decent, you can at least work your defense, look good, go with a few of them. You were green.
Right. And she was definitely more experienced than me, and a girl, and a big girl. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like, fine. Right. Like, fine, go in the ring. She sits me down within like 45 seconds.
Wow.
Right. And that was the first time I really ever had my bell rung by anyone, and I like got up and I was like, all right, like, I'll make believe that doesn't bother me. And then I never went back to that gym. I'm like, I can't do it. So I had to change boxing.
Over from that shit.
That was it for you, Greg.
But I'm not embarrassed to say that I was knocked down by a girl. It is what it is, It's
right. This is a trained fighter, man.
So
it's a different world, man. I remember I did like a handful of jiu-jitsu classes, and I'm 225, and there were like guys that were 150 pounds just like fucking me up. You know what I mean? Like, I was brand new and they knew I was new, so they were going easy too. And they were like, yeah. And they were just like, you could tell this motherfucker could just wrap me up at any point and it'd be over.
You can't,
like trying to, be nice, first class and shit. But like a couple times I was like, oh shit.
It is all about speed. Like, speed always wins. Speed definitely wins in
jiu-jitsu. They just manipulate
your
own movement. I mean, right? I don't know too much about jiu-jitsu, but I do know that a guy who's considerably smaller can just.
I took close quarters combat training for about a year, and it was trained by two guys who were ex-military guys. One dude was like 5'4", 130 pounds, and the other guy was like 6'3", completely opposite, jacked. Right, I met them at the gym that I used to work out in, and the little guy would beat the shit out of everybody. Everybody. I mean, it was not about size. It was about knowing how to maneuver and kind of shift body weight around, right? Because it's a lot of that is using someone else's body against them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then forget it. Then if you would like kick you and you like, if I would go home bruised, like from here to here, bruised, legs bruised. I mean, I looked like literally like an eggplant. I was like purple, with the exception of my torso. It was rough, but when I would leave that place as beat up as I was from the training, I would feel so awesome. Like, I know I was hurt. I know everything was like black and blue, but I would leave there like, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's almost like you have an awakening of some sort.
Yeah. It's like the rush, and it's like, all right, I could take that. Like, it makes you feel like I never walked around scared after I took those classes. I'm never walking scared.
That's the thing with martial arts, man. It's the journey of it, what you get from that, the rough days, the good days. I mean, that's going to be applied to everyday life.
Yeah.
That stays with you.
Oh, totally. That's how me and Nick get along. Like, he tries to rough me up, and I'm not afraid.
Yeah, right. Nah, I feel that same way about lifting, though. That kept me grounded. It's like a form of like, something I could always do and go grind it out. And that was, that was like my boxing. So
yeah, I can't imagine, Nick. I mean, like, can you imagine anyone who doesn't have that sort of anything to look forward to during this pause? Like, if they're not training for anything, like, that's hard, man.
Yeah, it's I mean, a few years back, I hurt myself. I hurt my back, and it was, I saw the signs coming. I just ignored it. I was a fucking meathead. I competed in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and I was like, I'm just gonna fucking power through. And by the time I was like 27, 28, my back was like, see you later, dude. Until and honestly, it's so much a part of my identity. I really couldn't work out for like 2-3 years, at least comfortably. And then now I'm just getting back. I'm 32 now, and I've been 2 years back, and like just getting back to like doing the shit I wanted to do. It's just, I don't know. It's just back. Like, I never got an MRI or anything. I would just get fucking like, I would squat or deadlift and then be like, it feels a little uncomfortable. Go to Cairo. He'd pop my SI joint back in place. And I had like psoas shit and all this other garbage. I just ignored all the signs, and I just kept like, no, I'm good. And then I paid for it. You know what I mean? But now I'm back on track. So it feels fucking great. Yeah. But when you lose that, it's just like, I was miserable.
That shit's deflating, man.
Oh, dude, just kills like your confidence, everything. Just like, it was such a big part of my life. Like,
yeah, man, you're all big, feeling good, and then it's like 2 months. Yeah, you're like watching fucking Friends, and you're getting all soft in the middle and shit with cheese doodle fingertips.
Right? Yeah, you're like, yeah. Like, I can't get a rush. I can't get a rush from deadlifting anymore, so I'm gonna eat fucking Doritos. That's gonna be more fun.
Nick does have a healthy appetite. The dude could eat. He definitely has a healthy appetite.
Yeah, I have to control it.
Do you still spar? Do you spar with your clients or on your own?
I like to spar. Ever since we had the whole pandemic, I haven't sparred. But yeah, I'll still spar. I enjoy moving.
It's funny. Whenever I would go in, knowing I was going to spar, which was 3-4 days a week. Like maybe one day a week I wouldn't spar. I would just train, and then I would spar the other days. Every single time I would walk into the gym, knowing I was going to spar, I would. And I relate to Nick because Nick gets so incredibly nervous before he goes up on stage. I would walk into the gym and be crazy nervous that I was about to get in a ring and literally on purpose go in and fight somebody.
Yeah.
Right. But then I would get in the ring, and then the first punch that was thrown, all that goes away. And then it's just like, I can't wait to throw the next punch or block the next punch, or it's like gone. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was actively like competing and stuff, when your coach is like, we got sparring tomorrow, we're going to this gym, like right. That shit, when all of it is unknown,
yeah,
and you have to put so much trust in your coach that, and trust in your ability, right? So and being able to like implement what you've been working on under, extreme stress is not easy.
Definitely.
All this shit goes out the window. Like 60%, 75% goes out the window.
Totally.
You're like left to what? Oh, I still got a good jab.
Yeah.
But that 1, 2, 3, 2 rollout, and I'm not pulling that shit up. It's crazy how you can work on something like for Nick, like for comedy, right? We could be so funny in front of our friends and shit, right? And we're like, oh yeah, that should have worked on stage. But the language, it's so different with a strange audience. It's the same thing with boxing. I could be with my coach looking good, maybe even sparring my coach at the time or hitting the bag or pads. I'm pulling off these nasty combinations, but it's totally different when you have to really perform that shit.
Yeah.
So you got to work so hard just to get a little bit of that shit applied to the actual situation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, especially like, when you say with your friends, like your friends know who you are, right? They like know you, know the stories, they know you're funny. But like when you're just going to a random ass audience on, they don't know you, and you got however much time to prove you're funny or get them hooked in.
And a huge thing, man. As much as much as I think humans are fucking dumb, smart. You can't deny confidence.
No,
right?
True.
If I was to step in the ring and I could still look mean and look strong and everything. If I move my eye a certain way, like I look down or I don't maintain eye contact, that's an inkling that I'm not really present or I don't believe in it. The same thing with an audience. Audience can pick up on that shit real quick. You could bomb. You can say whatever you want with an audience, and they'll still be with you if you're confident. But the moment you show that you feel unsure of it, you're done.
Yeah, it's true, man.
That's why I think all comedians have mental problems, right? And I don't say that like trying to be funny or like think I'm better than it. Of course not. I truly do, because comedy to me is such a difficult thing to pull off when you're asked to go up on stage and make someone laugh on command.
Yeah.
Right. Like you guys, both stand-up comedians, took that on and said, you know what? I'm going to go be funny for those people who are expecting me to be funny. You know what I mean? Like that is A, crazy and B, insanely ballsy, right? Because Nick asks me all the time, he's like, how come you don't ever want to do stand-up? And I just don't have that urge, right? Like I don't have the desire to go up and try. Like I don't have that performance gene. But I think for comedians, much more so than music, right? Like music and acting, it's two totally different things. But a comic is up on stage alone, and especially like when you're up performing, for a headliner like Chris, right? People are there, hundreds of people, or Giannis when you've opened for Giannis, I'm sure, to see these guys who they're such big fans of. And then you have to not only go out and open for them, or feature for them, you now have to make those people laugh, right? Like what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I gotta say, I appreciate you making it seem like it's harder, but it's actually harder than what it is. But I actually have the easy job, man. Going in the middle after the host in the middle, it's actually much easier for me. A lot of them, I'm fortunate enough to have a little bit. Some of them, a good percentage of them know me because from the podcast. But so it's not as difficult. If I went in there and they had no idea who I was and I had to go first, that's a little more. But the host a lot of times does that 10 minutes, whatever they do, and it softens them up. A lot of times the drinks are down. The middle spot, man, is a sweet fucking spot. It's like when I headline, I'm like, oh, I forget. I love to middle because you get 20 to 30 minutes. There's no fucking pressure. The audience is already having a couple of drinks. The headliner, that's a fucking tough job, man. You got to do 45 minutes to an hour. They drop the checks on you, 3/4 to see a set, which, by the way, I don't know why clubs still do that shit. It's like everything is evolving and moving forward, and clubs are still dropping checks. They're still doing a 2-drink minimum. They need to cut that shit out. People are going to drink. They don't need to be told you got to drink 2 times over here. Like, people are going to drink.
Now, Sergio, how did you get into comedy? What started that for you?
I don't know if the story is that exciting. It's typical, I was a class clown. Humor for me was a defense mechanism. Yep. And I always wanted to do it. So I used to go to clubs when I was young. My little girlfriend, 17, 18 years old, they would bark. They would have barkers in front of the clubs giving out tickets. Yeah. I would get the ticket, go in the club. And I would see guys like Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah.
Guys who are friends of mine now. I remember seeing Kyle Grooms when he just started. Who else? Will Sylvince, Angelo Lasada, who was a good friend of mine. He just passed away. Rest in peace, Angelo. So I would see all these guys and be so inspired by it. But I remember seeing Patrice O'Neal, and it was a Sunday night, and it was like an audience of 7, and he looks at us and he says, "What's wrong with y'all?" That's what he told me. He said, "What's wrong with that?" He said, "Who comes out on a Saturday night to be entertained by a complete stranger?" He said, "There's something seriously wrong with all of y'all." Yeah, we find that funny because we like, but you imagine 7 people who don't know each other,
Right.
just chilling in a dark room, and everyone, I could feel everyone getting uncomfortable. And dog, this is how I knew he was like a special sort of talent because he dug himself in the hole.
Yeah.
Like I even got uncomfortable for him because he sat there and was like being mean to us. And he dug himself in a hole, like making fun of all of us. And then 20 minutes, after the 20-minute set, we absolutely loved him. It was the funniest thing. It was almost like one of our closest friends was up there just fucking with us. And he was able to tie that in.
Yeah.
To make that connection with 7 strange people. It was really special. And this is probably over 20 years ago. For me to remember that, it was wild.
Yeah, it had to be a long time ago. He's been gone a long time already.
He's been gone a long time. This is well before I started comedy. So I had experiences like that really inspired. I was like, wow, man, that guy was fucking hilarious. And he made it seem so effortless and smooth,
Yeah, he was awesome. I loved him. He was one of my favorite all-time comics for sure.
He was mean too, though. Like
I heard the stories.
I used to work at Comics on 14th Street. It was a beautiful corporate club in the Meatpacking District. And I was doing a new talent show. So I'm not sure, Nick, you're probably familiar. Greg, I'm not sure, but a new talent show is you have a comic producer who asks 5 to 8 comics to perform on the show, 5 minutes a pop. They have to bring X amount of people to perform, right? Long story short, the show is over. These shows are like fucking 5 p.m., middle of the fucking day type shit. He's headlining the first real show that night at Comics. So he rolls in like around 7:30 in the room at the green room in Comics. So this like, darty, new comics, still scan, up and down.
Yeah, happy. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, did you get a recording? Oh my God, my joke really killed. And that sort of dweeby shit.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he tells the producer, Becky Donahue, like the comic, "Hey, y'all need to get out." And she's like, yes, come on, guys, let's go. And all the comics are lingering, and they're taking way too long for him. So he goes into the bathroom and he takes a shit, like a nasty shit. Leaves the door open, and then there's not a door frame and just smiles. Dude, everyone's like, "Yo!" Like
what a psychopath.
Yeah.
Dude, my favorite story is Kevin Hart told on Rogan when he was talking about Patrice threw a fucking phone book at him while he was performing at the Boston Comedy Club. And he's just yelled at him, middle of his set, threw a phone book at him on stage.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Read it. It's got better material than what you're saying right now." So he fucking did that to Kevin Hart.
Well, check this out. I saw the time I saw Patrice was at Boston Comedy Club. Dope club. Had the elevated stage, the brick background with the fireplace. But one time I was at New York Comedy Club, and Kevin Hart was there, and he was like, I went to the bathroom, and after the show, he comes out, and he's like talking to the girl I'm with, and he takes a cigarette and throws it away. He's like, "You shouldn't be smoking," or some shit like that. And I was like, "Yo, who's this little motherfucker?" So I'm like, "Who's the little?" And he's like, "You guys enjoy the show?" And I was like, "You did the same material you did last week." And he was like, "Oh, I gotta get new material." Well, he's doing his thing well. I enjoy Kevin, man. I think that guy, he's such a likable dude.
Yeah. People want to. Plus, where he's at, people always want to shit on him for whatever.
I feel like he doesn't get too much of that, but I'm sure he does. I don't feel like I hear a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he does.
I just don't like, I mean, comics are, can be envious people, I guess, but it's so much fun. Like, it's just it's so fucking great. Like, I'm not gonna, if I woke up every day and compared myself to Kevin Hart, I'm gonna be depressed for a long time. I'm not where he's at, man. It's like, okay, like, let him. He's doing his thing. You do your thing. That's it, man. That's all you can do.
That's the most violent shit you could do to yourself. And people in the entertainment business always do that.
Yeah. It's fucking wild, dude.
So let's talk about your podcast.
Yeah,
the DBS Podcast. The acronym is for dirtbag shit.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, dogs, boxing, snakes. I mean, the acronym stuff's all.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have pet snakes, correct? I saw in the video you do with Chris.
Yeah, I'm a big reptile lover, man. In the midst of all this crazy shit going on, to make myself feel better, I just go on Craigslist and look for snakes.
I could have told you one about 20 years ago. I for some reason went out and bought a ball python.
So it was like an impulse buy. You didn't
It
really
was an impulse buy, right? Like complete impulse buy. And I didn't think it through. And I am not, it's just not my character, right? For one, I'm way too much of a wuss to deal with a snake.
Who buys a snake without knowing anything about them? What are you going through a midlife crisis or something?
Yeah, I did it like 21 years old. So like I did. I'm like, it'll be cool to walk around college campus with a snake. Well, let me tell you what never happened. I never walked around college campus with a snake. So I buy this ball python and you feed it mice, right? Yeah. So I would go to the pet store, buy mice. First time I went to feed it a mouse, I threw the mouse into the cage. Right? You know what happened? That mouse ran around the cage for 2 days. 2 days. I go back to the pet store. I'm like, the mouse is now a friend of my ball python. Like, what do I have to do? The guy said to me, he's like, oh, your python doesn't want to eat live food. You have to break the mouse's neck so it dies, and then the python will eat it. And I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm going to go home.
Like, do you have pre-broken ones here?
Right. And the guy was like, well, we could kill it for you here. And I'm like, I have to give away this snake.
Yeah, no additional charge. Just come back. We'll kill you, the mouse.
So I did. I wound up giving the snake away to a zoo. I had a friend that mom worked at a zoo. I'm like, can I give your mom this snake? Because there's no way I could deal with this.
I'm surprised they took it. I'm surprised the zoo took that.
Yeah,
snake.
she at the Roger Williams Zoo in Rhode Island now has this. It could still be alive. I don't know.
They live a long fucking time, man.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask, what's like I know nothing about animals at all.
Yeah, they live like 30 years.
Jesus Christ. What type of snakes do you have? Do you have more than one?
Yeah, I got 9.
Jeez.
What?
Yeah, I got 9.
Oh my God.
What kind?
What's your biggest one?
Like 6.5, 7 feet.
Has it bitten you?
No, they're docile creatures, man. They're good. Listen, these snakes have different modes.
Right.
When you go into the tank, a lot of times they associate that with food, right? So what I take a hook with the ones that are really powerful, and I'll tap them on top of their head, and then I'll grab them in the mid body. Once they're out, they're on chill mode. They're like exploring, and that's it. But it's usually they never really want to bite out of aggression. That's the misconception. They bite because they think you're food.
Right.
So once they associate with food, they'll grab on and coil. And then a defensive bite is usually when they're really scared. If you're hovering above them, they feel like a predator is invading their space. Right. So you got to go in even level, mid body usually, tap them on the head with the hook, remove them. Very simple. And you make sure that they're able to grab onto you because they want to feel secure. They don't want to be at the tip of the tail.
Right.
They don't have legs, right? So they want to feel secure. That's why every time you see a snake, they're against something.
Right.
Holes and stuff like that. But back in the days, when you had that ball python, when pet shops sold them, a lot of these snakes were like imported from they weren't really being bred.
Right.
A lot of them were coming straight from Africa, from Latin America, and it's pretty wild. Like how there was dudes out there who would smuggle snakes like in their luggage and shit.
So where do you get a snake now?
Yo, to tell you the truth, man, most recently, I'll go on Craigslist. Yeah. Listen, it's probably filling in a void for not using drugs anymore. I'll just get the snake because I got the same excitement. When I call someone on Craigslist, I'm like, you still got that snake? There's something that happens to my belly. You know, you ever get drugs and excitement? It's the same excitement, right? So I'm not buying them. I'll tell them, listen, I see you trying to rehome your animal. I'm very experienced. This is a link to all the pets I have. If you want to, feel good about, if you want to have that peace of mind, knowing that your snake is going to go home, I'm the guy for you. And a lot of times, that's how I get them.
Wow.
Dude, that's so funny. You said like now that like you don't do drugs. That's what it's. So I trained this guy. He's only like 38, but he wanted to lift heavy, and he's a bigger dude, and he likes to, squat, bench, deadlift, power lift, all that shit. So we were doing that, and he would, his biggest thing was his wind. His aerobic capacity was bad. Like he was just whatever. And I was like, I know he'd sit in the car in the parking lot of the gym. I'd see him before at Equinox, and he's vaping.
Vaping is terrible.
The worst. But I was like, dude, like he used to be, pills, coke, you name it. Did every drug in the book for a very long time, and he quit all that, and all he did was vaping. And I was like, dude, like if you want to get your aerobic capacity up, like you really got to drop that vape. And he was like, he just looked at me and goes, it's all I have left. He was so like, it's literally all I have, dude. I'm just like,
funny, Nick. I know that dude. They're usually bloated. Those guys, man, they've been doing drugs for so long and they still smoke. And it's almost like you need your body to stay away from all that shit for a good 6 months to respond to a workout correctly.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to work out intensely. Like if he wants to lift heavy, you got to do that shit slowly. You can't just go in.
Yeah, he was taking big rests in between. He was just like,
it is pretty great. Like I was never I've definitely done stuff in my younger days, but I stopped drinking. I was not a heavy drinker, but I would, drink casually about, 6-7 months ago. And I can tell you how much better my workouts are.
Hell yeah.
But I wasn't, I wasn't like I drank every day, but just not drinking at all. I probably have had like 2 drinks in 6 months. It really is amazing how much better I feel, pre and post workout.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. You don't have those dips, those mood swings. When I drank, but I drank a lot more where I added up the hours that I was drinking. So let's say I was at a comedy club 3 or 4 times a week and I had 6 to 8 beers each night.
God damn.
That's on a normal, that's like, right? So then you count the hours. So if my spot was from 8, I should be home by 10. No, I would hang out, get home at 3 in the morning. So 8 to 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, that's 7 hours, right? Now it's like 20 something hours of hanging out. And then that's not even the recovery time. So the following day, recovering 3. So you're damn near doing a disservice to yourself. 40 hours out the week, so committed to drinking and recovering. That's a lot of time. That's a part-time job at Petco.
Dude,
a full-time job. 40 hours?
In the snake department.
Snake department.
Yeah, dude. If I drink, I'm the worst. Like my body, luckily, I guess, my body just like, me and substances don't do well together. Like it doesn't take a lot for me to get drunk. I've never really, the hardest like drug. I've taken steroids when I was a teenager. That's the hardest drug I'd say I've done. I smoke weed, whatever.
Yeah,
but like, if I drink, I'm fucked for 4 days.
Did you, what kind of steroid was it and how long were you doing it?
I took a bunch of shit from like the ages of 15 to 19. I took, I took Andro back when that was legal. So Mark McGuire took D-ball. Then I injected test propionate, took Deca. I've tried Winstrol, fucked around with growth hormone a little bit.
Wow.
That's it, I think. Yep, that's it.
What are the differences? Are they just different brands or they're?
Yeah, I mean, some shit. You gotta understand. This was, before they banned all that shit. I worked at GNC in high school, and like, you could buy Andro or like shit that was basically like D-ball. It was legal at that point. It wasn't made illegal to 2004, I believe.
Right.
So you could just like, if you remember that company Animal, like Animal Pack.
Yes.
So Animal Stack used to be Andro. I took that when I was in high school, and Animal Test was like methyl 1 testosterone, like a D-ball almost. But it was wild, dude. I'll tell you, the oral steroids, I felt a little bit better on them. Injecting and shit, it fucked me up. I hated it. I felt like garbage all the time. Plus, it like, it thickens your red blood cells, so you recover quicker and all that shit. So I was a bouncer at a nightclub when I was like 18. I'd just be standing there like like taking deep breaths, like oh, I don't feel good. And I was like, this shit sucks. Like, I'd have to do cardio just so I didn't feel terrible. You know what I mean?
But you know what he did? He really had a good shine to him. He really, like, if you see pictures from back when Nick was a bodybuilder, he had a very nice glow.
The funny part is when I did bodybuilding, I did that naturally. That's when I was like 24. I didn't even take juice. I did the natural shit before I took all this shit.
That stuff is brutal. Like boxing, man, you got to make weight, right? You got to cut weight.
Yeah, you certain weight classes and shit. Yeah, I fucked myself up hardcore. That's why I just went more natural route.
Yeah, I mean that stuff, and I think that's the reason why so many people get hurt in boxing. Like, you hear about the deaths because they dehydrate themselves, to cut weight. And listen, you get hit on top of that. Why you dehydrate? Because you don't hydrate within 24 hours. If the weigh-in is the day before, you don't drink 2 Gatorades and a gallon of water. No, that takes a week.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah, I have a friend who was a competitive wrestler. And they would go through crazy weight cuts, right? And he fucked his body up so bad, like, and it's kind of gross. He could eat anything he wants now, and since I've known him for a long time, like, he could live on Taco Bell, McDonald's, Popeyes. He cannot gain weight. He is maybe 130 pounds, like 5'9", cannot gain an ounce because he messed up his body so bad from all of that weight cutting for years of wrestling that it's crazy. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I've watched him like eat as disgusting as someone could on a daily basis for years, not an ounce.
Yeah, that is why I didn't know it could disrupt. I knew it could be bad for you, but I didn't know it can have those adverse effects where you wouldn't be able to gain weight ever again.
I think it's a metabolism thing, has something to do with just being dehydrated like the dehydration really killed him. It's wild. It's kind of.
I wish I had that shit. Dude.
I know, me too. I wouldn't mind.
I had the reverse. Like, I remember dieting. This is when my health, like, I had like gut issues and all these other autoimmune issues pop up after this. It was after my first bodybuilding show. So it was a Sunday. I was on stage at like 180, 175 on stage, right? That was a Sunday. That next Saturday, that same week, right to Saturday, I remember we were going out for St. Patty's Day in the city. I was 207. 27 pounds. Because I took a diuretic. My ankles were like, I had like water in them. I looked like a pregnant woman.
Oh my God.
Like, you couldn't tell I had jeans on and shit, but like we went out in New York City and I was like, I couldn't stop eating. Like, it was like, I was like, what? I'm going to die. Like,
he had blue lips. Like, everything was blue. His ears were purple.
It was bad, dude. It was the worst. And then like 5 months later, I became lactose intolerant. I've never been that in my life. So I was 25 and it's just on set. I fucked myself up. So
I want, before we wrap in a few, I did want to ask you about your birthday.
Oh, my 9/11 birthday.
So your 9/11 birthday. So
what a time, dude.
I don't know how to even like talk about that besides you talk about it in your act. Right. And I imagine that's got to be, obviously a weird day to celebrate a birthday on, especially 15 years ago.
It's a weird birthday for sure, but it's one of my favorite bits, and I'll tell you why. It's so fucking taboo. to make fun of something like that. Not I'm making you obviously know, and smart people know that I'm not making fun of 9/11. I'm making it myself, right?
Yeah.
But it took a while to develop that bit because I didn't believe in it at first. So it goes, "Oh, my birthday's on 9/11. Every year falls on 9/11. Every year I'm the only asshole in the bar with a cone hat on," and I go on. And I talk, and I go, and it's a long bit now. But at first, and we talk about confidence. When I even said 9/11, I didn't believe in what I was about to say. I didn't believe that I could pull this shit off in front of people. So I would say it, and then there was something about my voice or my body language that suggested I didn't believe in the bit, and it didn't work.
Right.
So I stopped giving a fuck until I did it enough.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm owning this. It's my birthday. This is it. And it's amazing how confidence in a bit will sell it.
Yeah.
That shit did not work. People will be pissed off at me because I didn't believe it.
Right.
I thought it was funny. I knew there was something there, but I didn't know how to execute it.
Yeah, especially in New York City, running that bit, night after night in New York City. I mean, I imagine you got a lot of people like, "Fuck you, dude."
Yeah. I never had anyone that. I'll tell you this: I've never had anyone say "fuck," but they didn't find it funny. And I'm doing a good job as a comic selling it, so that's my bad. It's always gonna be my bad, right? Especially if they're feeling uncomfortable about it. It's one thing if you say something and you still have that confidence to be like, I'm owning this. I don't give a fuck what y'all think. But if I'm a little skittish about it, I'm making an awkward situation. Right?
Yeah, totally.
I say something awkward, but I still believe in it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm still maintaining a certain energy. Take a walk with me, right?
Right.
If you're like uncomfortable and they're uncomfortable, now it's like, I pay for this shit? This guy looks uncomfortable. Right? But what the fuck was my problem? I was gonna get to something else. Shit. Maybe I'll run back to it.
Was it your 21st birthday?
It was my 20 or 21st birthday. I think. Yeah.
That's wild, dude. I mean, I have a similar bit.
My bad, Nick.
Go ahead. Go. No, hit it. Go.
Yeah, so there's a time and a place for this shit. That's why when you do like a corporate function, sometimes you gotta remove certain bits. I kind of pride myself on doing what the fuck I want.
Right.
With any audience, I feel like I can maneuver. I've been doing this long enough. But a fellow comic booked me, and it was a real ritzy, gala. Fucking gala. I had to wear a button. Shit. And it was somewhere, it might have been like Connecticut, like a real fancy part of Connecticut.
Makes sense.
Those guys.
And they had the fucking raffle and the chandeliers. And the producer / comic was like, "Sergio, you're free. It's anything you want to do. I love you. I love your energy. They're gonna love you. You're gonna go up second. Here, if you want anything to eat, filet mignon in the back." And he was very, very accommodating. So I'm doing my thing, and when he goes up on stage, he's doing a lot of like he knows the audience. You know those shows, Nick, right? When the fucking guy knows the audience, so he's doing shit like he knows Kevin in the third row, and he's talking to Kevin's cousin. So it's like a personalized thing, and so he's not really doing stand-up, is what I'm saying.
No, but he's probably killing because everyone knows who he's talking about. Yeah.
And actually, it's funny. Usually, a guy like that would be killing, right? It's going okay, But so I go up, and the last thing I should be doing is rolling the dice with a bit like that. So I do, I go up. I'm doing okay. I do the 9/11 bit, and someone goes, "Oh no!" and doors fly open, and they just exit.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really?
And so I'm doing my bit, and like it's an awkward set after that, as you can imagine. Oh no! And people looking back, Yeah. And then I go to the back, and everyone's looking at me. I go to the green room. My food is not there. They like remove my food. They're like, he doesn't get to eat, right?
Jesus Christ!
And the owner, the producer goes, "Oh, I should have. I don't know why you would choose to do that bit. That woman's husband died in 9/11."
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to know? And I'm also not making fun of 9/11. I'm making fun of my birthday. But so you're never able to say 9/11?
Yeah.
Like it freaks people out. Like, so people have to listen. I get it. But if I start to do that with everything in life, you can't talk about anything if you think about it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I was 9/11, so I wasn't trying to justify it. I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. And it wasn't making, and it was like mad awkward. And I was hoping I would get paid. I didn't get paid, but it was like one of those things where you got the envelope and, you're looking at the watch, last comic is up, you're just, people walking by, you're like, oh.
That kind of happened to me. I used to DJ, right? I DJ'd for a long time, and I would DJ these like sorority things and dances and whatever. And no matter what, at least 5 to 10 times a night, I would put a song on, and some girl would walk up to me and be like, "You can't play that song. That's Jenny's song with her boyfriend. They just broke up, and she's really upset." And a few times when it first started happening, I'd be like, "Oh, fine, I'll change the fucking song." But after a while, I was like, "Tell Jenny to go to the fucking bathroom if she can't. If she can't deal with this for now. I can't not play songs because someone might have an issue that's their breakup song."
Exactly.
I
mean, that's that's a level of entitlement I cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm the same. Yeah, I'm the same way. I was talking to a comic about this a few months back, but like, you hear all these stories about people going up to a comic after and be like, "You know what? I don't like you said this, this, and this, my whatever." So for like my example is my mother died when I was a kid, right? I go to a show, sit down, comic makes a dead mom joke. I can't even fathom going up to him after and being like, "Hey man, I'm 30. Like my mom died when I was a kid." Okay. He didn't fucking know, dude. Like no one knows. Like
it's so wild and disrespectful. It's crazy. I was at a show one time, and it was a light audience, and I used to have this opening bit, and it's a stock joke. I said, "Oh, this is a small audience. I prefer this size of audience because this shows me that if there was a fire in here, there's a good chance we'll all survive." And it always worked. It's like it's a little throwaway one. I used to always use a small audience.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy in the back goes, "Too soon." I'm like, "What are you talking about, too soon?" And he's like, "The fire around the corner from here, there was a gas explosion. Like one person died, like 2 years before that." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, the fire around the corner, a guy died, man." I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, I said, it was a small enough audience where I said, "Okay, we're going to go around the room. Raise your, sir."
I like this move, Sergio.
Yeah, I was like, "Did you think that I was talking about the fire across the street? Did you?" And I went all around. I said, "See, dude, shut the fuck up. This is not about you and your thoughts. You can't make this show about your thoughts." Like he felt a certain way. I was like, "But there is a place for guys like you. It's called fucking Yelp. Go to Yelp." I got so mad, bro.
No, I get it, dude.
Wait, that might be a new app. I don't know if maybe that does exist. Like where people can go on like a comics Yelp, right? Like you develop an app that's just about comedians.
It's called Twitter.
No, I know, but that's in the moment. Like an app where you can like read reviews of your comedian you may be going to see that night. Like there's an app there. That'd be funny. And it would be all bad reviews because people only post bad reviews. No one posts good reviews.
Yeah, man, it's just wild. I wonder, and also you think about like the times we were living in right before the pandemic. I mean, it was cancel culture.
Oh, God.
We couldn't, it's disgusting, right? It's like really everything has to be case by case, and it was just out of control. And it's crazy how then we have a pandemic that canceled everything. Like,
right.
Oh, you guys want to act up? You guys want to be this bitches? Cancel the whole thing. And then you're left with this feeling like, oh shit, I'm very appreciative of what I have. Like it's almost like real survival shit. Like, gratitude or whatever. All the other shit we were yapping about it's irrelevant now.
But cancel culture is never going away. It's never going away.
Right? And there's too many platforms. I agree, Greg. There's too many it's allowing too many voices.
I think the only way it goes
It's only
away
a small percentage of people.
is I think that, you know, there's always going to be the cancel culture. I think, especially now with all these friggin' ways people can talk shit about each other in real time and screw people's careers for no fucking reason because they don't like a joke. I think the only way you combat that is by dealing with it head on, kind of the way like Joey Diaz did. You know, like someone tried taking Joey down. He was like, "Fuck you." You know, he's like, I'm not going to be canceled by you for that, whatever. And, you know, if there's validity to it, fine. But just making up nonsense is crazy. And if you let it happen, then you're feeding into it.
Right.
You know, I
Can
think
you imagine like if it was the 70s and like you could tweet at Jack Nicholson. You could be like, "You fucking suck." Like they're like today's wild. Like it's just you could just say shit to whoever you want.
Yeah, I mean, look back at that time. You had Archie Bunker on TV. It was a top television show. Yeah. You know, and the Jeffersons
people exist.
You know, like it was just outright playing into racisms that people knew was just for the comedic element of it, right? And if you can laugh at it, it's not mean. You know,
I was gonna say, you want to watch some wild shit, like hardcore shit? Go back to the Dean Martin roasts and watch those dudes fucking tear each other apart. Making Puerto Rican jokes to Freddie Prinze Jr., telling him he should be a waiter and shit. You got Don Rickles telling Wilt Chamberlain he should never be in his neighborhood because he's black. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's like Seinfeld telling LeBron, like, "Hey, you black son of a bitch. Like, you all look alike right now." Go watch that shit. That is insane.
Did you say Steinfeld?
Steinfeld. Sign.
I was like, what the
No, Jerry fucking Seinfeld.
I'm thinking friend that refused to say Seinfeld. He was like, "Oh, Steinfeld." I'm like, "No, it's Steinfeld." Like the fact that you're just saying Steinfeld was so obvious.
Sounds like my dad, dude. My dad just like makes up shit. He's like, every time Chris talks about his dad, DiStefano talks about his dad, I'm like, yeah, my father's Italian, and just says like he was trying to reference. He's like, if I want to download a song, would I just go to Looney Tunes and you just download it? And I was like, you fucking mean iTunes, man? And he was like, yeah, whatever, it's the same thing. And I was like, no, you can't just say shit.
My mother's on the same bullshit. So be like, I don't really go on Twitter. I'm like, "No, you're Twitter, bro." Like, and this says it was such arrogance and about her. Like, "Oh, I don't do Twitter." I'm like, "Yeah, no one does Twitter."
Not a thing.
I saw a great bit. I don't know who did it about like people like what you just said. People like saying Steinfeld, but saying it with such conviction that they believe it's like they're like, and then you're like second guessing, is it Steinfeld because they just said it with such conviction. Anyway, man, this was awesome.
Yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you, dude. Appreciate you taking out the time.
Oh, my absolute pleasure, Nick. I appreciate you guys, man. And yeah, the next time I'm in Connecticut, I'll holler at you guys. Maybe we'll get some training done, or if I'm at a show, I'll make sure to meet up with you guys.
Oh, for sure. We run shows out here too, so we could talk offline about doing some shows.
Oh man, I would love to head out there.
Yeah, we run a couple of club spots out this way. Smaller, obviously, but pretty good stuff.
Limited capacity now.
Yeah, that's the main thing. The capacity is limited, but there's still shows in the rooms. Anyway, man, let's catch up after. And thanks again. Really, this was awesome.
I appreciate you guys, man. Have a good night, gentlemen.
Thanks, you too.
Sergio.
Peace.